Hello everyone and welcome to this week's review. For a while it seemed like everything was quiet on the Ice Age front. There wasn't any news of a sequel and it seemed like the films had ended with collision course. There was an announcement of a television series about Buck Wild, but that was about it. Until Disney officially revealed that they would be releasing a movie involving the weasel for their streaming service. Of course, as is widely known, Disney shut down Blue Sky Studios, the creator of the Ice Age franchise. Since Blue Sky had no involvement with the Ice Age adventures of Buck Wild, that does create a bit of awkwardness. However, I think they're in a no-win situation. If they never do anything with the studio's IP or mention their films again, Disney will get accused of ignoring Blue Sky ever existed. But whenever they do bring up a Blue Sky film or property, people immediately remind them that they shut the studio down, and it's insensitive to mention their characters and movies. The best decision would have been to not close Blue Sky, but that's sadly not the reality we live in. While Blue Sky did not produce this movie, a few Ice Age veterans did have a hand in its creation. The director is John C. Duncan, who was with the studio ever since their Oscar-winning short, Bunny, for which he served as a technical director. Duncan later went on to serve as associate producer on the first Ice Age film, and later produced Robots, a few of the Ice Age sequels, and the Rio movies. Duncan even received an Oscar nomination for producing the scratch short Gone Nutty, so he's very much familiar with that world. Lori Forte, who came up with the initial concept for Ice Age when she was an executive at Fox Animation and produced all the movies, is also credited as an executive producer on Buck Wild. It should be noted, though, that Chris Wedge, Carlos Sedana, Mike Thermia, and the other Ice Age directors did not participate in the film, and don't even get a special thanks. So with that out of the way, what did I think of the Ice Age adventures of Buck Wild? Well, it's harmless enough, but I was still largely underwhelmed. The film is primarily focused not on Buck, like the title indicates, but rather the possums Eddie and Crash. I did not mind their presence in the previous movies, but they're not exactly characters that can sustain being the leads. The main Ice Age gang is relegated to supporting roles here, and with the exception of Simon Pegg, none of their voice actors return. I will say that Sean Keenan, who provides the voice of Manny the Mammoth here, does a spot-on Ray Romano impression. However, there's someone notably missing in this entry, and that's Scrat. Our favorite acorn-chasing squirrel is completely absent, which is bizarre, seeing as he is the mascot of Ice Age, and arguably the most popular part of the entire franchise. Maybe he finally ate that acorn, and is living a happy existence somewhere. Back to the story, it mainly involves Eddie and Crash deciding to go back to the dinosaur world from the third film, and I just did not find it that interesting. Their arc goes through the typical messages and development one would expect, and is not fleshed out too much. Buck does provide a few amusing lines, but he exists more as a plot device and a way to deliver exposition about the villain. Said villain, I should mention, never shuts up and eventually started getting on my nerves. The writing and adventures of Buck Wild felt like it would be more at home in a mid-2000s direct-to-video sequel. It has that sort of vibe to it, and the movie is aimed at a slightly younger audience than the theatrical films were. The animation was clearly given a much cheaper budget than the Blue Sky films, but it's passable enough. The backgrounds actually look really nice, although the character animation does not have quite the needed polish. That's obviously not the animator's fault, and it does seem unfair to compare this outsourced production to the recent Ice Age sequels, which had budgets of around $90 to $100 million. The filmmakers do attempt to inject some heart into the film, with it even showing a little bit more about Ellie the Mammoth's time growing up with Crash and Eddie. I also appreciate that the opening sequence acknowledges the existence of the human baby from the first movie. Do you know how long I've waited for an Ice Age sequel to mention the humans again? Otherwise, I never felt the story took off, and I did not think it entirely satisfied, either as an Ice Age sequel or even just looking at it on its own terms. To be honest, what stood out to me the most is that the film begins with the Disney Castle logo. It was very strange seeing that at the start of an Ice Age film. Anyway, give the Ice Age adventures of Buck Wild a watch on Disney+, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching this week's review, and I'll see you next time.